Hi, my name is Joshua Jones. Today we're going to look at making an image like this one here using the 3D features in Photoshop CS6. So let's get started. Create a new document. 1000 by 1000 pixels is fine. Just close that other image. Oh, I'll just close that one. Okay. Now we'll start off with the background. Hold Alt, double click the padlock to unlock that layer. Choose a grey. Alt delete on Mac to paste and create a new layer on top of that. Grab a big brush with white. One bit should do there. On top of the first layer, put a curves adjustment. Drag down the middle of the curve to darken. Now, in that curves layer mask, grab the marquee tool and fill that area with black. So you're hiding the darkened area. Let's drag that down a touch. And we want to blur the mask a little bit so the line isn't so perfect. Yeah, that looks okay there. So hit OK. So that's your background. And group them all together. Call that BG. Create a new layer. Now this is where we start the 3D. So we'll go new mesh from layer, mesh preset, and soda. Okay, so I want to move the can back in space a little bit. So click the soda can here. That little button there gives you the coordinates. Minus 300 should do for that. Now we want to start texturing the can. So hit label material. This here is your texture. So hit here diffuse. So yeah, over here edit texture. Go back into your layers panel. Start with a gradient. Yep. Another new layer. Now what we want to do is create a grid on top of this texture so we can sort of see whether the UVs are stretched or not. So in order to do that, edit fill pattern. That's a grid I just created earlier. I'm not going to bother showing people how to do that because it just takes time and people aren't very patient. Okay, so Command S to save that. Have a look at our can and you can see how the squares aren't quite square. This means the UVs are a little bit stretched. So to fix that, edit UV properties. Now I want the bottom to be purple here. So is it the U scale? Sorry. The offset is where the texture starts. Okay, now I need to fix the scaling first. Okay, that looks pretty square. Now this is the bottom of the texture here. So you can see the bottom of the texture there. The UV offset is wrong, so we need to adjust that. I think it's the V offset. Nope. A little bit more. Okay, that's cool. I think I want some red at the top. Okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Hit OK, and that should update. Now go back into your texture. We can delete that grid. This is where the fun begins. So happy. I think I want capital. And happy will need to be a bit bigger. Alt and Shift to constrain proportions and enlarge from the center. Now we need cola. Command T. Okay. Now layer styles, so double click on your text layer to bring up a layer style. We're going to put a stroke with a gradient. Angle at 90 degrees. Click on the gradient to edit it. That square I want purple, and this square I want red. Hit OK. Using the up arrow to change the increments by one at a time. And we also want to put a gradient overlay on the text. Sorry, I want the stroke back to front. Let's reverse that. Gradient, and I want that black to be the purple. Hit OK. Hit OK. Now I want to convert this text to a smart object so I can put more layer styles on top of what I already have. So I've done that, double click on it again, bring up layer style, go back into stroke, and I just want a black stroke. And I'll bring it up a bit. 6 pixels is good. Hit OK. Okay, so that's great. I'll move that over here. Happy cola. Now the last thing, the second last thing, grab your pen tool, create a new layer just above the, didn't want that. New layer just above the gradient. And we just want to sort of create like these clouds. Hold Alt to start again. Alt click. Alt click. Alt click. Alt click. And go around here. Close the path. Hold Command and Enter to fill this, so create a selection from the path. Alt Delete to fill. Command D to deselect. Command T to transform. Hold Shift when you rotate it so you get perfect angles. Enter. Press V to grab the move tool. Move that down over here. Opacity to about 35%, maybe a bit less. Okay, so I'm kind of happy with that so far. Let's just rotate this. Now I'm not sure where this is going to be on the can so far. We need a barcode, so just drag that into Photoshop. V Command T, Alt Shift and then drag. Let's make that a bit bigger, I think. Okay, that looks good. Hit enter. Now, Command S to save, and we'll go back to see how the can looks. Close the barcode. Okay, that's not far off. That's pretty good. I think it needs to come up away from the purple a bit, and I think down. So if we select everything except for the clouds, let's go that way. And that has to go down. Down a little bit more. Oh, back just a touch. Alright, I'm going to move that up a little. I want that barcode to go down and away from that a little bit, and I also want this text to be a bit bigger. Alright, let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Okay, so the texture's done. We'll close that. Now we'll concentrate on how the render is going to look. I'm going to get rid of this ground plane because I think it's a bit distracting. So view, show 3D ground plane. Get rid of that. Now what I want to do is make sure the properties of the can are nice so they render the best way possible. So we want a slight reflection because what we're going to do is create some image-based lighting. So we'll bring that up a bit. At the moment you're not going to see any real change because there's nothing to reflect. The shine can maybe be boosted a touch. The other thing I want to quickly do before we get into the image-based lighting is change this infinite light. Actually, no, I might leave that. Just move it a touch. I was going to make it a point light, but when I'm recording, things lag a fair bit, so I might leave that. Let's get into the image-based lighting. So for image-based lighting, you have to go into environment. Let's just make sure there's a reflection, so we get a reflection down here. So over here, reflections, opacity, maybe bring it up to around about 50%. And you want roughness to maybe 5%. That way, when it renders, it won't be like a perfect reflection. Now, image-based lighting. So similar to creating the textures before, hit new texture. 1000 by 1000 should be okay. Let's just make it a bit bigger. Hit OK. Okay, so edit texture. Now what I want here is a black area, and I want some white lines. So V Alt duplicate, and I think I want one more. Just holding Alt in the move tool so I can duplicate them quickly. Now let's see how that looks. when that saves, we'll go back in. Ah, that's nearly spot on. So with your move tool selected, you can move the texture when Photoshop wants to wake up. Okay. Making my life difficult. I think that looks pretty good. Actually, I don't like this. Okay, yeah, no, that's good. Right, so back to label material. I want to make sure there's enough reflection because that will render nicely. And I think the roughness needs to be maybe at about 2%, otherwise those lines will render much too perfectly and it might look a bit funny. Do I want the shine? Yeah, I want the shine up. And to bring the overall brightness up, change the specular up, +1, hit OK. Okay, oh, maybe that was a bit much. Okay, that should be fine. Alright, now if I wasn't recording, I'd do some test renders. In order to do that, grab the marquee tool, and you can sort of create selections where you want to render. Shortcut is Command-Alt-Shift-R, or you go to 3D and render. So what I'll do is I will render this, and then we'll come back and finish the rest of the tutorial. So, okay, so the render is done. I think if I pause it for now, had the time and patience, I probably would have re-rendered it and had this less intense. I think it's a bit too bright, and the shadow here is a bit harsh. I'd probably soften that a bit, but anyway, we'll keep going. So I might rasterize this. That way it just locks down the layer, and you know, I can't change anything anymore. And that's what I want because I'm recording. If I've got too much going on, Photoshop really slows down. Okay, so what I might do, I think it's a bit dark. I might see if some curves will fix that. Just lock that down there. Yeah, I think that looks better. I just Command E to merge it in. Okay, create another layer on top of your can layer. Now what we're going to look at here is creating some water drops. So what do we want? We want a brush. Now, I created a preset earlier somewhere. Nope, it's gone. Never mind. We will create a new one. So you need shape dynamics ticked and you want scattering ticked. Shape dynamic size jitter, angle jitter, yes, roundness jitter. I think the count is way too high. The spacing needs to be more. Yeah. Angle, roundness, scattering, count. Alright, let's see how that looks. So we're just creating some randomness around here at the moment. It does not have to be perfect in any way, just so we sort of know what we're looking at when we create the layer styles. Okay, so that'll do for now. We can change this if we're not happy with that. Double click here, bring up the layer styles. So we need a drop shadow. Actually, go back to the blending options default, kill the fill opacity all the way. Okay, so this drop shadow, I think I want to blend, color burn, lower the opacity a lot, turn off global light. I think the angle I want is 90% because we have the light source from the top. Whoops, go back in. Distance, that seems about okay. Spread, maybe up a bit. Size at 5 is fine. Contour, probably this guy here. Anti-aliasing. Okay, now we want inner glow. We want it to be a white. Yeah. Blend mode, lighten, opacity, knock that down. Yep. Size, maybe up just a bit. Contouring, this guy, this guy. Yeah, that should be fine. Inner shadow. What do I want? Color burn. Opacity down. Turn off global light again. Okay, so this is, we want from the bottom, so -90. Distance, it's probably a bit high. 2 looks good. Size is okay. I think that's okay for now. Okay, this is where the magic happens. Now I want this to be normal, and I want this to be white, and I want that to be, what do I want? Lighten. Yeah. Kill the opacity a lot. This guy here, not that really bright. Angle is wrong again. Maybe 90. Maybe bring that. Yeah, no, keep it at 90. Size. And the depth. Maybe about 65. Okay, hit OK. Now, let's just tidy up these bubbles just a bit. We'll just create a few more. Try to put a few on the edge. And that way you can erase. So you don't have to be perfect here, because it's editable. We'll just mask stuff out. So just tapping along here. This needs a few on the edge. Alright, so let's create a mask. Now we want a normal brush. release. 100% hardness. Okay. Let's paint in black and just delete stuff we don't want. I don't like that one at all. So the goal here is to delete parts of the stuff you've done so that they don't look perfect. Because if you look at a can and you look at the water condensation on the can, it is never perfect. Zoom in over here. Actually, about like that bit there. And alright, so that looks pretty good. Now I want that to be boosted probably just a touch. So what I'll do is Command J. That sort of boosts the effect a bit, but I want to knock that down to maybe 60%. The other thing I want to do is duplicate one of them so there's water drops on the bottom as well. So if we Command J one more time, Command T in the height, just put a minus and hit enter, and enter again. Make sure you're in the move tool, hold shift, and just drag down until it's around about the same. So that's a bit further up. No, it's even more. Yeah, that's probably about right. Then we want to blur that. Maybe about there. Hit OK. And that is pretty much it. There is your 3D rendered can with some water effects. So if we want to just tidy them up. Yeah, that's it. So well done if you got this far. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching.